enjoying this. Good afternoon. I feel really that this is a special moment in which we are collaborating on this new adaptation of the new pandemic times, and this experience of having the world tour was great. Having a Brazilian session, having Brazilian speakers. We had the largest audience of over 1,200 registered people, and we were almost double the second place. And I think, actually, we hope that we are not only the Brazilian champions, but the world champions in this. Please vote on SEG5. And at this time of the pandemic, we have the opportunity to explore our adaptability. Some things are really rooted deep down, but I am very, very happy to be part of this pre-conference. If you're not aware, we have an operation called ITC Experience. It's the CQCS ITC Experience with the focus on taking the Brazilians to Vegas, to the ITC. And then we have an afternoon in which people come and talk to us specifically about what they think. So we have people from all over the place. And that's where we also have the presentation of what are the main highlights of the event. And we are going to do that today, but remotely. Our schedule for today will start with a conversation with Marcelo Blar. He was the only Brazilian in the first edition. If you see Valentino is also from me here. And we also have 3 young guys that have always been to ITC since the first edition. Then Heitor Hara will be talking to our Insert Tech, SEG5, our candidate for the votes. And then I'll be stepping out for a moment. Then Heitor will present what is good about this event. And then I'll come back to this meeting to talk to Ellen Binha, who will talk about risk investors in insurance and what they are on the lookout for. So, and then we'll have Luke Caribou, founder of ITC. But for now, I would like to pass the microphone to Marcelo Blay. Good afternoon, Marcelo Blay. Good afternoon, everyone who is watching. Thank you for the invitation to be honor. And I'm really happy to have Marcelo here, but this time I was a little sentimental when I invited him to come here, you know. I've told everyone that when I was setting up this pre-conference, as usual, I found out that I had an extra hour left because I always get these things bundled up. And then I thought, you know, we have Brazilians going to ITC for the first time, and I thought it would be a good idea to talk through the experience of coming to an event like this and being the only Brazilian person. How was the first ITC? Your first ITC experience? It's been what, 3 years? 4? This is my third. Wasn't it 2006? Sorry, 2016. Yeah, 4 years. And I always like to research and study, and I ended up enrolling several
E provavelmente em
conferences.
uma
And
dessas fazia menção. Eu lembro
one of
que,
these
isso eu lembro bem, não
courses
sei
and
exatamente qual dessas
events
newsletters, mas
mentioned
falava
ITC, and I don't
de um
even
evento que
remember how
juntaria
was that mentioned.
empresas de
It was an
tecnologia
event
segura
joining
em Las Vegas, que é um dos maiores centros de
InsurTechs
convenções de
in Las
tecnologia maior
Vegas
do
in the
mundo,
convention center
e
there,
falava
one
de
of
um
the
termo
largest in the world.
insurtech, e aquilo lá me chamou a atenção,
And
porque
and
naquele
they mentioned
momento
that term,
não era um
InsurTech, for
termo
the
que já
first
estava
time, and
popularizado. Eu falei,
it
cara,
wasn't
se
a
tem uma
term
coisa
that
como
was
essa
well
em Las
known.
Vegas,
And
eu vou dar uma
I thought,
olhada, vamos lá, o
Vegas,
que que eu tenho a
InsurTech,
aprender?
I'm
Eu
gonna
pegava um
have a
dia,
look
fazia
at
uma
that.
viagem, sempre a gente aprende alguma
And
coisa. Eu falei, tinha uns
whenever we
caras, né?
travel, we
Foi
learn
assim
something.
mesmo,
And
a
I said,
base da cara e da coragem. Acho que também
and
quando eu
and, and
comecei
I
a
didn't know what I
empresa
was
para
going to learn. It
fundação, eu já
was
falei, não, tem
just
que
I
continuar
was
essa
just
trilha.
putting myself
Foi
out there,
desse jeito que eu
and
fui parar lá em Las
that's
Vegas.
how I ended up in Vegas.
Que sorte a nossa, né, que você foi
Lucky
tão
for us,
curioso.
right? That you were
É,
curious enough to
eu acho
poke
que
around and find that out.
esse
And
primeiro passo
I
foi
think
muito
that this first
interessante.
step
E eu me lembro
was
muito
very
que quando eu
interesting.
cheguei,
And I
da
remember
sua
that
outra vez, a
when
gente levou
last
36
time we spoke,
pessoas e já
last
tinha
time
umas
we took
15 lá, se eu não me engano, que estavam
36
inscritos.
people
Mas
and
essa
another
primeira vez
15
era um
were
evento bem
there,
menor, né, Marcelo?
but
Era um evento bem menor,
it
né? Se eu
was
não me engano, foi
smaller,
um
right?
quinto do que ele acabou se
Yeah, it's a
transformando.
fifth
Então
of
ele
what
era
it
menor,
is
mas mesmo
now.
assim já estamos falando de milhares de pessoas, né? Não sei se o
And
último evento
but
chegou a
still
ter, não
thousands
sei
of
se você lembra o
people in
número,
our
3
last
mil
event. I don't remember
pessoas
if
ou
you
5 mil.
I don't know if you remember. I think
O
we had 3 or
primeiro
5,000 people. The
era
first
para mil
one
e tiveram
was
1.600, se eu não me engano.
was
O
1,600.
segundo
The
era para
second,
3, foi que eu fui com você,
they
o da
prepared for
passou, chegou, foi para
3,000,
3.800. O último
and it
agora
reached
ultrapassou 7.000,
3,800.
acho que
And
o
now
tema era ir
it's
para
over
10.000.
7,000.
O
So
que
they
foi
were
que
planning a
mais me
10,000
impressionou,
people
né,
event.
nesse segundo evento
What
agora?
really, what was
Assim, a
the thing that
magnitude, né, assim, de
most,
imaginar
you know,
questões de
left you in awe
tecnologias seguras. Há
when you
4
went to
anos
the
atrás,
event? It was
fosse
the
capaz de
magnitude.
reunir
It's 4 years
1.600
ago, and
pessoas. Eu
having
também, quando eu
1,600
cheguei
people
lá
talking
e
about
tive
technology
acesso
and
ao
insurance.
programa, é aquela
And
coisa
when I
que
looked
você
at the
fica com
program,
dificuldade,
and
começa a dar uma
it's even
ansiedade, uma
hard,
angústia muito grande,
and
como
there's
é
an
que eu vou
anxiety of
escolher
how to
dentre
choose
tantas
what
trilhas
panel to
diferentes,
watch
tantos temas.
among
Eu
the
acho que
different
o
tracks and
pessoal que hoje em
subjects
dia
that
está
were
indo, que
being
foi
talked
com
about
vocês,
and the
com aí
people
a
presenting.
curadoria do Heitor e do Sami,
And Heitor being
está
the
tendo muita
curator
sorte,
with
mas naquele primeiro
Sammy.
momento, assim, meio que
It's
virar à
great to
noite,
have
você
people
recebia o
like you,
programa, você tinha que
because in the
ver
beginning you
todas
had the
as
program and you had to
possibilidades e
read
começar a fazer
through
uma
it, and the
ginástica de encaixar na
possibilities
agenda, porque no fim a
were
gente quer ver tudo,
massive.
né? Tudo é
It was
interessante.
really hard to
Então,
juggle
acho que ter uma
everything
curadoria
and
como vocês
choose
conseguiram
what
fazer hoje,
you are going to watch.
importante.
So
Naquele
having a
momento eu tive que
curator
controlar ali a minha vontade
group,
de estar em todos os lugares ao
help
mesmo tempo
guide
e
you, it's
fazer a difícil
great.
tarefa de escolher.
And because
Mas
it
eu
then
tentei também
lies
escolher coisas que
on you,
fugiam
the
assim a minha
difficult
zona de
choice
conforto
and
e
the
ver mais do
understanding.
mesmo,
And
né? Então eu acabei vendo palestras
I
sobre
ended up
reguladores no
watching
mundo e coisas
uh,
do gênero. Foi
presentations on
muito interessante. Acho que a
regulators
primeira experiência
or some
também que teve com as
things that
ferramentas que
were not
a
necessarily
convenção
within my
propôs e fazer
comfort
aqueles
zone. And then
networking,
I had the
que é
opportunity
muito
for
diferente
O
daqui.
networking
network é o
and quarking.
máximo, né, velho?
Yeah,
É,
networking is
É muito
great, right?
poderoso, né?
It's very
é meio
powerful.
assustador, né? Porque
It's a
você
little
tem essa coisa
scary.
de gringo, né? Que funciona.
And
Eu sei que eu marquei
it
todas as
works, right?
vezes
With
que eu
the
fui, eu
foreigners, it
acabei tentando
works. It's
preencher os
different.
espaços
And
possíveis em networking para
I,
falar com
I
gente de
ended up
tudo quanto é canto. Ou a gente
trying
convida
to
ou a gente é
find people
convidado.
and talking to
Mas é muito
people
interessante ver
everywhere.
que o networking eles
And it's really
estabelecem
interesting that
10
they
minutos,
establish
5
a
minutos, 15
10-minute or
minutos,
5-minute
e
networking
algumas
session. And
pessoas marcavam
some
comigo
people
assim network
would
de 5
schedule
minutos.
with
Aquilo eu
me
achei muito
a
estranho. Falei, meu,
5-minute
como é que você vai fazer
networking
em 5
session. And
minutos?
I
Eu não
thought it was
contei
really
nem com
weird.
você, que tinha
How do
interlocutores, como é
we
que é o
do
clima no
that in 5
Brasil.
minutes? We can't. There's
Precisaria
not
ter te ouvido do
time.
outro lado, mas é
And
impressionante como em 5
it's
minutos você
amazing
consegue
how in
estabelecer
5
um
minutes,
contato.
if you
Eles
focus,
são
you
muito diretos e
can
objetivos, mas o que
establish
me
a
assustava
conversation. They are very
depois de você
direct
acaba
and
se
objectives.
acostumando é que
But
em alguns desses
one thing that
networkings,
sort
a
of
pessoa
scared me
chegava e
in a
falava,
way is
você é uma
that in not
empresa
one
de
of these networking
seguros do
sessions they
Brasil, o
asked me,
que
"Oh,
que você
you're an
faz?
insurance
Olha, nós
company
somos
from
na área
Brazil.
da
What do you do?" And I
distribuição,
said,
sou corretora.
"We
Ah,
work in
obrigado, não me
distribution and we
interessa a
are
distribuição até
brokers."
agora. E vira as costas e
And
vai embora.
and they would just
Então,
stand up and say,
depois
"No,
que
Não é
I'm not interested in
grosseria.
that. Bye bye."
E não é grosseria.
And that's
Né?
not
Porque
being
você se
rude. No,
acostuma,
that's
né?
being direct. It's just something
Toda
that takes some
objetividade,
getting
né?
used
Eu
to.
tô botando aqui a camiseta que eu fiz pro primeiro
Yeah,
ano
I
aqui,
put on
em
this
homenagem, o
um,
Insurruption.
this
Né?
disruption
E
T-shirt that
quando eu cheguei lá,
I made as a tribute when I went there. And I went there the next year that you went. And I set up a meeting with Caribou. I didn't know him. And he's the chair of the event. And I sent him a message, and he arranged a session with me. And he sent me a message right at that time and said, no, I can't talk to you. Can you talk now? That time, that place where he was, I am the guy in the hat. And I went there. He talked to me for a whole 8 minutes. And within those 8 minutes, we scheduled a conversation in New York for November. And then when I met you at Praia do Forte, I was really amazed that you had progressive Geico projects, and I don't remember. You brought in lemonade. And I said, how did you see everyone? How did you visit all of these companies? And he said, in one single place. What was the main, my question is, what was the presentation that that you liked the most? At that time, we saw a lot of stuff by Lemonade. Lemonade was showing signs that it would be one of the most successful companies, and it ended up actually going into an IPO further along the line. But in addition to that, one thing that called my attention was a presentation on the insurance with a very constructive view of the insurtechs, saying that, look, we don't see insurtechs as enemies, but rather as an element that may aid large, established, incumbent companies to bridge gaps. So that's what I brought from them. Of course, there was the lemonade issue. But on the other hand, we had the very large incumbent companies saying, you know, we will consider you are the disruptive elements that want to help us, not destroy us. And that is really a pivotal understanding of and also I felt very alone, right? Although we do make friends, being the only Brazilians there is really hard, you know? If you have Brazilians around, you go to dinner with them, it's completely different experience. So being the only one was a little hard. And it was so amazing an experience that I wrote an article on that and say, look, it doesn't make sense that I'm the only Brazilian here. We should be all going. And it has grown quite a bit. So I always try to poke insurance companies and say, you know, let's sit down, let's try to build an ecosystem. Of course, this is the word that we use now, not then, but how can we have a win-win position in which both the insurance, the insurtechs, and the clients win? One thing that I really you know, Marcelo has a lot to complain about me, but I would like to ask you, Marcelo, to talk about your experience in the insurtech, in this vision, this partnership with an incumbent, with an insurgent, as we call it, you know? Because it's an insurgent, because it's not necessarily that these insurtechs are coming up against someone. It's against a few things within the system and open new possibilities. So I have an interesting story from the following year when you went back the first day, and I was enrolling in someone else. Yeah, I'm enrolling. And it was when I contacted the ITC, I said, look, I was going to enroll, it's $1,400 US. The content was great. And I said, yeah, sure, I'm going. And then when I looked at the schedule, I said, can you imagine if I could cover this for the Brazilians? And then I sent them an email. You know, I'd like the contact person. And the CEO answered, saying, sure, do you want to do a coverage? What can I do to help you? Can you, if you can give me one place in the event, we'll cover it for Brazil. And it was a given. I got an additional registration. And as I hung up, I said, should I go? Should I go alone? So I called other people and said, does it make sense to have a group? And And, Monique asked me, why do you want to take more people? Because I want to improve our sector. It can be Marcelo, myself. There might be a few Brazilians already enrolled. Yeah, but I think we should take, I don't know, a group of 10 people. Someone will call you to answer that. So I sent 50 messages and 5 people said, I'm in. And then Samara called me. Samara Jaffe, who's our executive director, called me, inviting TQCS to be an official partner. So what I got then is that we are in a co-working, collaborative world, cooperative world. And what I thought was even greater is the diversity. Because there was a stand, a little small stand in the middle of the stands there from a guy that taught old people to drive in Dallas, so there's room for everyone. What do you think of that? It's amazing the amount of people. So representatives from all 51 states in the US, people from Europe, from the Middle East, Asia, and also China, Japan, had large representations, and the diversity of subjects too. Also, we had so many presentations on so many subjects, and there's a lot of participation of people in the audience. And sometimes we feel we're not capable of it. We have the imposter syndrome, and we feel a little scared of speaking on the phone, on the microphone. But asking questions is part of the things, There's some questions you might consider, oh, that's a silly question, but all questions are well received, and people can understand what place you are at. So with all of that diversity, there's space for that. And the respect for that difference is also great. And I think you apply a lot of that in your events. And it's a fact. I've tried to bring you the positive and negative points that I find in everything. And as we talk here, I remember that in the last event, I was on the other side. I was a speaker. So I was like a guinea pig of this. I was there at the audience, first row. And it was great because I was the first Brazilian being invited to speak at this conference. And it's so important to bring Brazil to the spotlight on the global stage, because like you're bringing here, pre-conference groups, and putting Brazil on the track for investment, attracting resources to generate employment or opportunities for growth. And you're right next to Metro Mile. I think Metro Mile said that you would be an important person for the panel. That's the information I got. That's how it worked. Metro Mile suggested we invite Marcelo and close to Metro Mile, there was an agro company, a company from India. And we're talking about market representatives with, company, we have a company from the US, and Brazil is a relevant market in which we have a possibility for such a large market. We have Nigeria, India, but Brazil is also very relevant. So having that awareness makes you understand that you have people in the audience that are interested in the markets, that are looking for opportunities. So we went there to see if we could not only bring resources to my company, but to help the sector as a whole, the industry as a whole. It's to showcase Brazil under a new perspective. What we'll have today here with Ellen and Beatriz is more or less that, because I was looking for a speaker on the 22nd, and I have we are here 3 days, and then I'll have the Room of the Future in the Insurance National School, and then we'll have our own event. We'll have Gallagher from LATAM, and we'll have Susan Hatton. She's from Brooker Tech, and I got to know Brooker Tech when we connected through ITC. There was a huge broker group that created a fund, and they accelerate and invest in startups. So I invited her to speak to us on Thursday, and she came up to me, invited me to a conversation. We have our second meeting scheduled to talk about how to look at Brazil. And she introduced me to Bia. She worked in Vocatec. She sent me a message and said, come on, you want to talk to Brazil? Let's go and have a conversation, 10-minute conversation. And that's what I say, having over 200 million inhabitants for Brazil, although our political system is chaotic, our private system is very well structured and engaged more and more for insurance, I don't think we are behind any of these other places, I think you said something important, that for any business to flourish, there needs to be some catalyst, which is capital. And it takes a few tries and rounds until we establish ongoing and an independent market. But we have seen recession since Dilma. It's like a Republican recession in which we have to face issues such as JBS and the former President Temer. So a lot of hurdles that we had to overcome. And we have to always keep in mind there's economic and political strife, but there's a whole private sector that struggles, of course. It's not easy to find resources, out of thin air. We're doing great. We're moving forward. And because I sometimes hear, okay, all of this happens, but we need to try to overcome this preconceived idea of what Brazilians are and how they work. And so it's not trivial. It's not just, as I said, we can't make money out of thin air. So we need to overcome things that foreigners even find it hard to understand what goes on within the country. Yeah, what I have to say is that it must be really, really hard to be a foreigner and try to understand Brazil. Going from the US to Europe, I think it's easier. But Marcelo, I would now like to first thank you. I think you helped me a lot, not only with our personal experience, but how you help with Marco, with his team, and you inspire us. I think we can easily say that we have a company that is of excellence, that has excellence in its at its core. So I would like to say that I am moved to have an ITC pre-conference for Brazil here with you. I am happy to have you here, and I want you to know that this half an hour that we talked now is going to be ingrained in our history in CQCS. And I was writing down all of the things that you helped me with, and InsurTech innovation, ITC experience, Innovation LATAM, and now CQCS events. So after I met you, I started having much more fun. And the legacy that you helped me build really has been outstanding. So I would like to ask you to just leave a message to us, because we're opening together this. Enjoy and try to see as much as you can. Enjoy the curatorship, because it's hard to choose. So open your minds, question what you're doing today all the time, because it might not be the best. And be patient. And we're going through very difficult times, and it's not over yet. You won't be ending anytime soon, so let's persist, let's be patient and draw a plan. So thank you for all of these references, but of course that you have all the merit, the effort was all yours. So congratulations to you and your work. And once again, thank you for your help. I hope you are very successful on your journey ahead for ITC 2020. Thank you. Thank you so much.